Tonight we're going to be installing HID headlights in a C5 Corvette.
I'm Donna Marie and you're watching the Corvette channel.
Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Scott and tonight I'm going to be showing you how to install xenon headlights in a C5 Corvette. We're being sponsored tonight by Sharplight Innovations, and this is one of their products that they're very proud of, and we're going to hopefully be able to show you exactly how they're installed and how much they make it that much better for you, because we have already filmed the before and we're going to do an afterward. That's the reason that normally we always film all of our stuff during the day, but tonight we're actually doing it tonight so we can actually do it where you guys can see the difference, which is exactly why you need to be able to see it, because why put those lights in? Why spend the money if you can't see the difference? So hopefully we actually get that across to you today and be able to show you how easy it is to install it in your car, as well as being able to see the difference. So sit back and relax and hopefully we do our jobs. Okay, so what we're going to do here is, this is before we change the lights, so we wanted to try to give you guys some before and after, and it's about 8:20 at the end of April here, and so it's fairly dark outside, no street lights. So Terry's going to go ahead and turn the headlights on, and you can see what he can see here. I'm standing over the back of the car, as you can tell. And Terry, that's your low beam, right?
Okay.
Go ahead and turn on your high beam. So you can see what we've got there with the high beams. And this is with the factory lights. Now I'm going to swing around over here. Sorry about that. Swing around here. And you can tell that the lights are very yellow in a sense. They're not super white. Okay. And that will give you an idea of what we've got as a before. Now what we're going to do also is we're going to pull it right up in front of the garage door, and we'll be able to get a little bit of a different look on things too. Okay, so we've got the car in front here, in front of the doors. I'm going to come back around the back side. Now you can see what we've got as far as headlights with the original ones. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull it into the shop and we're going to make those changes.
You want to do the bright?
You betcha. There's the high beams right there. And now we're going to go ahead and pull it into the shop. We're going to make the changes, put the new wonderful lights in, and I'm sure that we're going to see a major change. Okay guys, so the very first step that we're going to do here is that we need to lift the headlight up, okay? So, and we don't want to do it with the power because we'll have the headlights on the whole time. So we want to go ahead, if your headlights haven't been messed with, you should have a little rubber cap. It's the kind of a dust cap that keeps all dirt off the spinning unit here. And you're going to just turn it manually, and the headlight is going to go ahead and start to come up. Now he's actually doing it on the driver's side too as we do this, so you can see us doing them, but this way we're not doing both. We're just going to be able to get both of them done at the same time. And you'll feel it come to a stop here in a second. Okay, there we go. The next thing you're going to have to do is that there is some Phillips screw heads right here. There's 3 of them. There's one here, and then there's 2 on the inner side of this cover here. So you can see right here that we're going to take these screws loose. And then you're going to want to make sure that you don't lose your screws. And the other screw is up here on this corner. Here.
Okay, Scott, where's the third one?
And the other one is right back here. See where my finger is there? Okay, so we're gonna go in here, and I'm trying to do it so you guys can see. Okay, did you find yours, Terry?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so we've got those 3 screws out, and then we can actually take the front trim of the car and we can pull it out. Now you want to be careful as you pull this out because you don't want to scratch your bumper, but if you do it ever carefully, it'll just slide right out like so. Okay? Now when we're going to put these back in, we'll talk about that when we put it back in. There's a little slot that's right up here in the top of the cap of the light here that this slides into, and you want to make sure that you get it slid into that slot. Okay? Now, what that does is that also reveals the other screws that you're going to need to do, which are the 15 Torx. There's one here, there's one on this side, there's 2 on the back of this headlight cover. That's going to allow us to take this cover off. Okay? So that's our next step. Thank you. All right, so we've got one right here. So guys, you can see that right there. I had screwed the headlight up just a little too tight, made it harder with a regular screwdriver Torx. If I had a ratchet, then it wouldn't have mattered. You could have left it up higher. Okay, and then there's one on each side here. All of these screws are the exact same length, so you don't have to worry about figuring out which one is which. All right. Then at that point, we can go ahead and we can lift the headlight up and off like that, and that exposes the inner part of the headlight. You also want to make sure these headlight covers have these little clips on them. You can see right there. So you don't want, make sure that when you pull these out, you don't lose them because you won't be able to put the headlight back together. Okay. I'm just going to set this off to the side here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring the headlight back up to its full position so we've got as much room as we possibly can to work. Okay, so the next step we need to do is we need to be able to remove these 2 hinge bolts right here. So these have been put in by the factory with blue Loctite. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lube this up with a little bit of WD-40 here on these threads, on the hinges there. Okay, it's like so. And then I've got a 8mm wrench here as well as a Torx on this end, and I'm going to go ahead and try to break this free. You want to try to do your best to make sure that you don't lose the nut and have it fall on you. So I'm going to try to be able to get this kind of stuck in my wrench a little bit and be able to take this little guy loose like so, and be able to keep my nut there. Okay. Then at that point, we'll see if we can go ahead and get this all the way out. It's like so. Okay. Now there's also a little sleeve in here. You don't want to lose that. Okay. Set that off to the side. And we're going to do that to the other side. This one's going to be a little bit easier because you're not fighting it next to the fender. And you can use the wrench to be able to really get a good angle on it there. Get some leverage on this screw. this one's going to go a little bit easier on you. And that one pops right out of there. And then you can get this little sleeve out of there too. Okay, we're going to set that down. Set those off to the side. Okay, so now that we've got our two bolts out right here, we're just simply going to lift this headlight up and we're going to tilt it down set it down inside the car. Okay, just like that. What that's going to do is it's going to reveal this 10mm bolt right here, or a 10mm nut that we're going to take off, and this is where the linkage actually connects to the headlight motor. Okay, it's right there. So we're going to take that loose next. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull this 10mm bolt off, or nut off. Okay. And you want to try to do your very best to not drop these in the car. Okay, and then set it off to the side. At that point, you'll be able to take this little guy loose. I'm going to loosen this up just a little bit to release the pressure off of this. And then you'll be able to take this off there, just like so. Okay, then at that point, you're just going to go ahead and you're going to pop your headlight light loose. Just like that. Okay. I'm going to take the same thing on this one. I'm going to pop it loose. Okay. And then we can take the headlight completely out of its assembly and set it off to the side so we can go to the next step. One other thing I want to point out to you over here is, if you can take a look at this, John, I know this isn't in the instructions, but I want people to know about this because I've learned the hard way. You can see right here, you see how this one pad here is starting, I pulled it off here, but you can see how it's starting to get notched. A lot of people don't realize this, but will eventually have happened. If you have not already experienced this, you will one day with a C5. The headlight will go all the way down, and then it'll pop back up just a little bit. Now, what happens on this is that this little cap right here either disappears, splits like this one's about to, and when they finally go, this thing is done for, right? So, and these are really hard to find. So what you can do is you can actually just flip it around like that, and that will fix the problem, okay? Or if this is totally gone, you can take this one and you can move it over to this spot here, and then it just bought you all the time in the world because it's just like brand new, okay? So a lot of people don't know that, but that's how you fix that problem. Okay, so the next step, now that we've got the headlight out of the car, so we need to remove these 10mm bolts. There's 3 of them, one here, one right through this hole here, and one right through this hole here. Now, if you have a socket, you can reach right through there and get them, or you can catch them from the side here, but that will allow us to be able to get the assembly off of the bracketry. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to do it like this, and go through it like that, and you should be able to see it from this angle here. If we can get into there like that. Okay, and then one over here. Okay, take that screw, set it off to the side. Same thing with this one. And same thing with this one. Looks like I need to pull it out just a little bit more. Okay, that was good. I only needed just a couple more screws. There we go. Now all 3 of these screws, they're all the same. So it's not like you need to worry about which one goes where. Let's see if we can drop that out. Set that off to the side. Now we can basically set the headlight itself off to the side here. We're not going to be needing that. Now you also want to follow the instructions here as far as making sure that you lubricate your adjuster pins, okay? We had to go ahead and we had to put some WD-40 right here in there like that. And also up inside this assembly over here, okay, like that. And then what we did is we let it sit for a few minutes, and then we allowed it to penetrate, and then we put our Torx into this pin here, our adjuster, and we could make sure that it is actually spinning here like it's supposed to, okay? Same thing with this one here, okay? You can see how that's moving. Now, I'm holding this piece because this would normally be screwed to the headlight, but I can still adjust this screw now. Now, when I started this was not budging. So be sure and follow the instructions on that, because this is all, there is metal in here, but there's a lot of plastic in this, and you will end up breaking that if you tried to adjust it after the fact, and it's already back in the car, okay? So now that we've got ourselves set up where everything's working, now we can start, we'll move on to the next step. Our next step here is we're going to end up putting our HID bulb into our housing, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our little clip here, we're just going to push down a little bit, move it over, lift this up and out, okay? Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our HID bulb that's in this protective covering here, I'm going to unscrew it. Now you want to make darn sure that you do not touch this with your hand. If you do, it won't last long. It will burn out just because of the oils that are on your hand. So make sure that you don't touch it. These have got little cuts there. You can take them right off. This thing is keyed. There's only one way that it can go in. You can notice that there's a rod right there. You can see it right there. That will go into the upper part of this hole. Okay, just like that. Okay. Then what you can do is you can take your little clip here, bring it right around there like so, and put it back into the holes. If I can see, just like that. Okay, we've got them through. We're going to push down, go over to the side, push down and over, and they're now locked in place. So this light now is ready to be reattached to the housing, and then we'll be able to put it back in the car. Okay, our next step is that we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our new housing onto our bracket kit here. We've got our 3 screws that we took off originally, and we've just got this little guy sitting in here like this. We're just going to line these up. This one here will be automatically keyed here. There's a little tab. Make sure that this is out like this and not tucked down in there. Now you want to snug these bolts up, but you don't want to over tighten them. If we can get it to bite here. Okay. There we go. That's one. And then these screws here will line up like that. And see if we can get one here in our socket. Just like so. Okay, and one more. This one is kind of tight quartered here, guys, so this one might be a little bit harder to get to. Might have to use a little ingenuity here and getting it in the hole. Okay, so our next step is we're going to be putting our ballast like right here, okay? And so you'll be able to see that in your instruction manual. But what we want to do is we want to make sure we get a good adhesion. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to wipe this down with some alcohol, okay? So I'm just going to wipe this down really good right in here. All right, so now while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my 3M tape that's been supplied, which is right here. It's like so. I'm going to peel that back, get out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and put it on the back of the ballast, like that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to peel our tape back. Okay, now to save us a little bit of headache, what we're going to do here is that we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug this in. Now on Terry's side, on the driver's side, you're literally just plugging your gray wire, which is your low beam, into the ballast like so. But we happen to be on the passenger side. So there is a relay that is being introduced into the system that will help make sure that in low power conditions that the light will not have a problem going up or down. So we're going to just plug this little guy in line, just like that, and then we'll go ahead and we'll plug our gray wire from the car right here into that socket right there like that. Okay? Then at that point, now I probably should have gone ahead and went around this wire here, so let me pull this loose again. Bring it back around down and below, okay, like that. And then we'll plug it in, okay? Then at that point, we're going to go ahead and we're going to drop this little guy right here, like that. Okay, and we're going to press and hold it here. We'll hold it for about 15-20 seconds to make sure that it gets a good adhesion. Okay. Now, there are screws supplied in the kit, as well as wiring ties, that if you so choose to, that you could go ahead and you could put a couple screws here through the wheel liner. It's not going to hurt anything. I just chose not to put the screws in because I know the adhesive will hold up. I didn't want any screws going through my wheel wells. Okay. All right, so we're good with that. So now we've got our wire here coming off the ballast that are going to go to the HID light. We still have our high beam light that we're going to go ahead and we'll be able to plug into our bulb once we get our light assembly back in here. And then we've got our little relay here. And so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to wire tie these little guys over to existing wires and down below so they're just kind of out of the way. We're just taking our headlight now. We're just setting it down in the hole like so, okay? And then we're going to take our little arm and we're going to put it back into place here. And you're just going to move it around until it goes onto the spot where it belongs, like that. Okay? Then at that point, we're going to put our 10mm nut back on. Just like that, okay? You don't want to over tighten it, but it's pretty snug. Okay, so now comes the rest of our wiring, okay? And we've got most of it done already. So what we've got here is we've got our two HID connectors here, and we've got our light connector here for the high beams, okay? And so all we're going to do here is we're going to, this is kind of a jumper. So we're going to be plugging the car socket into this plug like so. It's like that. And then we have another plug that comes off of that, which is going to go over to the actual bulb itself. Okay, and hopefully you can see that. Hopefully I'm not in your guys' way. You just want to make sure they're all snapped in. So it's getting the power from this light to generate the extra light of the halo on this bulb itself. Now the only thing that we have left is to get to the wire from the HID, which is right here, and this is keyed. There's no way that you can screw that up. It's like so, and just like that right there. Okay, so now at this point you are done wiring. The next step is to put this back together. So we're going to pick this up like so. Like that. Just take your time, and this goes up here like so, and we're going to put our bolt, as well as our little sleeve there that we took out. Remember, we had that when we pulled it apart. Okay, and we're just going to wiggle it in there. Okay, just like that. We're going to do that with the other one also. We're not going to push this one all the way in. This way I can start that nut. And we're going to do this one over here too. Oh, and this one goes in here like so. Well, just like that. Okay? Then at that point, you want to do the very best you can do of not dropping these nuts, so you don't have to be trying to take this all back apart and just to get that nut. Okay? So I'm going to try to reach down here with my finger to make sure that there isn't, I'm not going to be losing it. And I'm going to start it this way. Okay, just like that. So now we're going to use our wrench here, and we're going to use our Torx to be able to just get it started here. Just like that. And we'll tighten this up. And we're going to do the same thing over here. Okay. And there we go. So now at that point, we're going to check with Terry. Terry, are you you getting there all okay?
Yeah, I'm getting it pretty well together over
yeah,
here.
okay. So we need to go ahead and we need to now test the system. We're just going to turn the lights on before we cap everything up. Make sure that the lights come on. Okay, guys, now that we've got our lights all wired up on both sides, John and I have got our side done, and Terry's got his side all done. So we're just going to go ahead and come up here in the front. John's going to come up here with the camera, and Terry's going to go ahead and turn the lights on. And we've got lights on our low beam. Terry, let's go ahead and have the high beams come on. And we've got our high beams. Now, if you guys notice this, we either have our low beams or high beams. When we finally get everything wired up and the next steps down the road here, we'll actually be able to have the high and the low beam come on at the exact same time. Our next step is phase 3, and you have this in your instruction booklet right here. Now you can see right here that this is the harness. It's the high 4 harness that we're going to be installing, and this is what this does, is going to allow you to have your high beams and your low beams on at the same time when you're in high beam mode, which is going to just totally light the world up. Okay, so with that being done, you've got a yellow wire that's got to be tapped into a fuse in the fuse panel that's under your hood, as well as a green wire, a red wire, and a black wire. Now the red wire, it just goes to the battery terminal. You'll see that, and or the battery lug on the fuse panel. Then we're going to go to the ground wire, ground terminal on the battery on the ground. And then we're actually going to pull the 2 fuses, and the harness comes with taps already pre-installed. So we'll be able to pull our fuse out of the number 10 wire for the yellow and the number 9 wire for the green. And we have to make sure that in the instructions it says engine side. Now, I call that the fuse side. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the fuse out of fuse number 10, and then we're going to turn the headlights on, and we'll be able to see which side of the terminal actually is the hot side. And we want to make sure that we hook it to the non-hot side of the fuse when the headlights are on. That way it's still fuse protected. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this down. We'll jump into the fuse panel now, and John's going to try to get a real good close-up so you can see what I'm doing, okay? So, all you need to do here is pull this cover off, just like that, set it out of the way. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to pull our harness here, just like so. What I recommend you doing is taking care of the yellow wire as well as your white wire. Okay, first. We'll do those first. So your yellow wire is going to your number 10 fuse. So you can orientate your fuse the same way, your picture the same way that is in the fuse box itself, okay? So you can see here that we have 3 relays right here. So we can turn it, we've got our 3 relays right there, okay? And then when you do that, there's your number 9 fuse, which is right over here, and your number 10 fuse, which is right next to these 2 little guys right there in the middle. These are both 10 amp fuses. You have a fuse puller, or you should have a fuse puller inside, okay, just like that, inside the fuse panel. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to put your fuse puller on that fuse and pull it out. Okay, then at that point, you can set that off to the side for a second, and then you need to be able to test which side, and you can do this with a test light or a voltmeter. Okay, so when we go to test this, you can see here that there is no, if I'm tapping this on both sides, okay, it's like this, if I can get my ground to stay there. On both sides of that fuse right now, there is no power, okay? So when we turn the lights on, or the headlights on, only one side of these 2 terminals will have power. So you can see here that we have power with the lights on, and here we don't have any power. So it's going to be that terminal right there that we're going to use for our tap. Okay, so with that being said, we're going to take our fuse here, if I can keep from dropping it, and we're going to take our yellow wire here. And if you look here, you can see there's a little hole. So if you take your fuse, you can see right there, you put it right inside that hole, just like that. Okay, and then at that point, we can take it and we can put it in the hole. Just like that. I'm going to use this just to press this down. You could use a screwdriver. And you just want to make sure that your fuse goes all the way in. Okay? So you're just like that. So now that wire is tapped in. Okay? Now we're going to do the exact same thing on our white wire, which is over here in number 9. Okay? So number 9 is this fuse right here. So we're going to use our puller again. And we're going to pull that fuse out. Okay? And then we're going to do that on our white wire also, just like this again. Okay. And now on this one, what you can do is that we knew that the power is going, the non-power side is on this side of it. Okay, so on the fuse side. So we know that that's the way they've wired this fuse block. So you can actually go the same way, it's like this, and put it in there. Okay, and we're going to press that in. Like I said, you could use a small screwdriver or something like that, but this is what I have just here available to me. Okay. All right, so now that part's wired in. Okay, so the next part we want to do is we want to go ahead, let me get the test my test meter out of the way. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna tap onto the battery. Okay, so the next part we have to do is to hook up the black wire to our ground on our battery. And you can also, you could find a ground somewhere else, but I prefer to use the battery itself since it's right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and use a backup wrench because we've got an adapter on this. So if you don't have that adapter, you don't have to use it. We're just gonna take this negative loose. And we're gonna hook up our ground. That guy's long-winded. Okay, now we got that. Now the next step that we need to do is we need to hook up our power, and we're gonna go our red wire right to this terminal here. Now you want to be sure here that this does not, when this is doing this and you're on this lug, you do not want to touch anything negative at all. No metal on this car when you're doing this part of it. You will get some sparks, and that isn't good. Okay. At that point, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this on there like so. Okay, I'm going to tighten that down. Don't over tighten it too bad, just to snug it up. Like that. Alright, so now at that point, we are wired in. Now, what this does allows us to go ahead and have our high beams and low beams come on when you're in high beam mode. So now at this point, what we can do is that we can run all these wires through here. We'll get them all going through, and then we'll tuck this down into here, and then we'll be able to close the door. Now we may have to notch this cover just a little bit to be able to make it go through. So what we did here, we decided we were going to route our wires right out to where the battery terminal is. So John went ahead and he cut this cover just a little bit. You can see right there that it's notched out right there. Okay, and that allows for the two wires here, our white and yellow wire, to be able to go right down through here, and then we can tuck everything down, and this still closes like it's supposed to. So you can see right here, we've got our wires. We just routed them like this. So there's no strain on them, no stress. We're just going straight down here like this. Okay, so we're going to take that, and we're going to push this little guy right down in place, and then it closes. And then we're going to take that little relay, and we're just pushing it right down below, and it's just out of sight, out of mind. So you can see how that's going to look. Okay, so nice and clean. And we just tighten this back up, and we're good. So all we have to do now is just to go ahead and test them to make sure they work with all four wires or four lights working at the same time, and put the covers on. Okay, so we're turning our lights on, and we've got our just the low beams. Now we've got our high beams, and then all four lights are working. So our kit works just the way it's supposed to. Well, them are bright.
Blinding me.
Okay guys, so you can see right here in phase 4, the aiming, which is what you're going to need to do when you get this all set up. Take a look right here. So you can see that on the passenger side it starts a little bit higher, and there's a little bit of a shadow, and then it goes down, a little bit more of a shadow, and it goes over. Now if you look out over here at the lights, you can see that's exactly what we have. So you can see it starts higher, it's higher on the right hand side, and as it moves over to the left, it's actually got the drop downs right there. You can see right there, if we can get out of the way, you can see the shadows. Let me see if I can get kind of over here to the side, you can see it. So we've got our lights adjusted dead on, and you can definitely see how bright that is.
Let me put
Now,
the bright on.
now Terry, yeah, go ahead and turn those bright lights on. Now look at that. Wow. That is like day and night in comparison to what we used to have. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna take it back into the shop now. We're gonna get it all finished up. Okay, guys, the last thing we've got to do is we got to put our covers on, okay? So Terry's going to go ahead and do the driver's side. I'm going to go ahead and do the passenger side here. You want to make sure that your headlights are down at first, because otherwise these little ears are not going to go up and over without you catching the fender, and you're going to chip your cover, okay? So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to put your cover on. You get it seated down, and then you'll actually use the motor itself. You'll manually move the motor to adjust these to be able to get them to the right spot to put your screws in. Now, the two back screws, you'll be able to see the scoring marks of where your screws were, and that's where you want to put them back. And you'll be able to see that same thing on the sides over here. After you do that, we're going to follow. Once we get these covers on, we'll follow with the front part of the headlight itself, the trim assembly, and then you're done. Okay, so we're just taking our cover and we're going to set it here in place. Yeah.
I got that one on already. Then you kind of show
There
you
we
what I
go.
did.
Just like that. I just got it.
There you go.
Yeah, there was a little ear here, guys. There's a little ear, and that's part of the trim assembly, and you're just going to like cock it in and then down, okay? And then at that point, this goes in like so. Okay. And then there's one over here. And then there's also one over on this side, but we're going to have to manually move the motor. Now you probably could take your chances and operate the headlight, but I don't advise that. I don't want to have you guys screw your paint up by the chance that this headlight cover is in the wrong position when you activate your lights. Okay, that's right where it belongs. I think my bit is dying here. There we go. All right, we got that one in place. Then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna move the headlight up. I'm gonna do it manually here. So then at this point, we can put our screw into this side here. I think I'm going to use my screwdriver here on this one, a Torx driver. And you'll be able to see exactly where your headlight was, and you can just adjust it. Okay. And then we've got to get the one on the other side. Okay.
I'm going to do just what Scott did, only I'm going to do it a little easier. And that's that. Now we have to do is just put that finishing piece on the bottom, which now you could probably turn these down. Oh, you got yours open all the way,
Yeah.
Scott? Well, I just opened this one up by hand. But
Yeah.
you could actually close them all the way down and then just open them up. But since we're already like this is a good deal. It works either way.
Yeah, you want to make sure they're all the way to the complete open position.
Okay, this should be the last little trim that goes on and we'll be done with this. When you take this, if you'll slide it, as I got it right here, in here at the bottom, and just kind of roll it back, it's easier to get in. Then there's got to remember that little clip on the lid. You just slide it in there, it just slides in. Then, this is a very critical point. Do not drop the screws inside there. If you have a Phillips screwdriver that's a magnetic screwdriver, it would actually help a whole bunch. Because if you drop one of them screws in there, as I have done, they're not easy to get in. Or get out after you drop them down in there. Okay, there's one, two, and we have the last one right over here. Should be back over in this area. Right here. And that is that.
Here's the original light itself, and here's the new light. Now, it just looks awesome to me. I gotta say, these lights are actually in pretty good shape for being a 2000 car. There's not a lot of wear on them. They haven't fogged over or anything like that. But I mean, this just gives it a whole new, more aggressive look. And you guys will have seen depending on how I edit this, you will have already seen the lights on in the dark, or you'll be seeing them here in just a minute. But unbelievable the amount of difference in the amount of light output. As you all know, or most of you know, C5s are known for not having the best lighting. I tell you what, this thing is super bright now. So anyway, I just wanted to show you a side-by-side comparison. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video tonight that we did for you. When it comes time that you want to do the HID lights in your C5, look to Sharplight Innovations and they'll be able to help you. Not only do they do these lights, but they do the lower, the running lights down below, as well as tail lights and a whole bunch of different stuff, which hopefully we will be sponsored again by the company so we can show you all the rest of the stuff that they do. So guys, again, thank you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you'll be alerted of our next uploads. And again, thank you for watching, and you guys have a good night.
Thank you for watching the Corvette channel. Don't forget to hit subscribe.